Everybody, it's the Last Raider, and we are back again with a video. Oh man, oh yeah, COVID has kind of given me some problems. I've been essential business, so I've still been working, but my kid has been home, so I've had to come up with means of, taking care of the kid. So doing a video has been very difficult these last couple of days. But I've got that situated at the moment. So it actually started interfering with my essential job, and so I had to, you've got a kid at home, or you got to go work, and you got to find somebody to take care of a kid, but you got to find someone who doesn't have COVID, and so you've got all these problems. It's one of those things I've managed to in the last 2 weeks solve that as a problem. So my kid's got somewhere to go, and I'm officially on lunch break right now. So hopefully I'm going to get back to the videos. I want to try and get to probably 2 more videos a week, and then maybe 3 more videos, and then try to see if I can get that grind going again. But anyway, we have a question here on the internet, and I saw this, and I realized I know exactly how to answer this question, because it's not an answer that people are probably going to like. But anyway, let's go in here. Deputy Rust at Twitter says, "All right, boys, let's have a genuine discussion. No jokes, no let them burn, no nothing like that. How can we get the comic industry back on its feet once this lockdown is done? Events and crossovers will not work, and I can just tell you they've overstayed their welcome. Let's talk." Okay, here's the problem. Before you can have a solution to anything, and this is one thing that few people understand this concept, but it's something that humans use a lot of, and that is, you first have to admit there is a problem before you can start figuring out the solution. Because by admitting the problem, you're identifying what that problem is. And by identifying it, you can then begin to figure out a solution. Usually it's the opposite of whatever it is. If it's an action being caused by you, the solution is usually the opposite of whatever the problem is. Okay? Because your action will be problematic will be exacerbating the situation. And here's what I'm going to say. Right now, the comic industry with COVID is it's the final battle of Thor Ragnarok. Okay? Helena has taken over Asgard. She is the SJW. All women are powerful and everything else, and women this, women that, lesbian this, lesbian that. And the people in Asgard are, the customers and everything. And you have Thor, Valkyrie, Hulk, Hyperion, Loki, all of them just are all Ethan Van Sciver, Geeks and Gamers, mostly Comicsgate, and some people that aren't in Comicsgate. They're just right now holding the line. Okay? The comics industry has already been in a decline. All right? This COVID is just Soder coming in to finish it off. It's not what ends it. What ultimately ends it is the SJWs taking over and start everything on the decay. And they take over so completely that you cannot get them out. You look at corporations that I tell people a lot of times, it's not a coincidence that they have hired mostly women and mostly trans and mostly outspoken lesbians and minorities, because they know these corporations are too scared to fire those people and look like bigots. They're afraid of the backlash, so they won't fire them. And as long as you have that going on, because, and I seen in the comments here, people in this tweet, in the comments, people were talking about, well, maybe we could put most of them on digital. That's not going to save it. Well, maybe we can do a whole lot of things on, we can do like Shonen Jump, multiple issues of superheroes in Western comics. That's not going to save it either. As I said before, Helena has taken over Asgard. The people that are controlling the comic industry right now They write shit books. They infuse so much politics into a comic book that it ceases to be entertainment and becomes propaganda. They are piss poor to every customer. They are still piss poor to every customer. Their industry is dying at this moment, and they have not learned to sit back and say, you know, we really appreciate our customers. Not one time have they come out and said, we appreciate the fans and the customers. In this entire crisis, that tells you where the problem is. It doesn't matter if you put these books on comic stores, in newsstands, on digital, or send them in a mail order fashion. The first and primary obstacle you have to get over is you have to get people to buy the book and be interested in the book to keep buying it. And right now, Marvel is a tainted product. DC is a tainted brand. Valiant is a tainted brand. Pick a comic company. You've got Heather Antos up there saying, well, comic shops are not customer service. We're not customer service. Going out there and insulting an entire group of people. You've got Richard Pace and all of them pissing and moaning at Trump supporters, calling them the scum of the earth. Mags Visaggio want to take a baseball bat to their teeth. Okay? These people don't like their customers. They hate them. And people will not support people who are not going to just simply treat them with respect. It's my money. Do you understand? And as long as it's my money, I get to decide where my money is spent. And if you mistreat me, I'm not going to spend my money over there. Sorry. People will just say, well, you know what? We'll go get our entertainment somewhere else. Let's try video games or manga. And that's been the biggest killer because manga is actually interesting. It's actually entertaining. Manga is not sitting there browbeating you over the head with a feminist agenda the whole time. They're not browbeating you with a gay agenda. They're not browbeating you with a diversity agenda or a globalist agenda or a bullcrap agenda. You look at the X-Men, you look at the current X-Men comics that are out right now. They're basically a xenophobic state. Completely different to what they were before. You have people going to the movies, and I agree with this because Cecil mentioned this before. He said, Marvel has missed the biggest commercial opportunity with their movies. They had the opportunity to have books on the shelves about Captain America and Iron Man and Thor. And instead, they pushed these diversity stories that nobody knew who they were. And so you got all these normies coming off the movies going, yeah, you know, this movie was so good. There's a whole plethora of comic book. There's like a whole comic book series. Let's get into comic books now. Let's read about Tony Stark and everything and see what's going on. And they get to the comic books. It's like, why is Tony a black chick? Why is Thor a chick? Why is Peter Parker black? Why is Captain America acting like a fucking Nazi? I mean, seriously. So to answer the question here, and I'm not being mean to Deputy Russ. I think he's one of the people that just up until this moment, he's basically the rock monster at the very end. Okay, you're seeing the whole surface of Asgard being destroyed. And he's like, all the buildings are destroyed and everything. He said, but the foundation's still good. That maybe we can rebuild after this. Deputy Rust, give it about another year and that entire foundation's about to implode. We're all in the spaceship. Don't worry about that over there. We'll go terraform a weird rock out in the middle of space somewhere. Okay? We will terraform a rock and make a new Asgard. We will build a new comic industry. Comicsgate's doing it right now. They are still selling. In the point of coronavirus, have you heard of Comicsgate coming out and saying, or any indie publisher right now who is using Indiegogo saying, yeah, you know, the coronavirus is really hitting us right now. Like we've lost sales. They're not saying it. They've never given a pencils down order. They've never said, well, because of COVID, we're going to have to quit. They're not. They're selling because they're separate. They're putting some politics into the books. I'm not saying politics have never been in the books. I'm saying comic books have never been propaganda. Okay? They've never been propaganda in the way that SJWs have been pushing the propaganda. And as I said, the only saving grace to the comic industry is just let it burn. DC's done said they're probably just going to start reprinting old books. And Marvel is probably just going to keep seeing a decline. With Disney owning them everything, they may just cancel Marvel Comics entirely. And they may sell off the property. At that point, you can probably do something with it. But unfortunately, unless you can find a way to get the pros at Marvel and DC and Valiant and all, Boom's actually doing pretty decent, but if you can get these comic pros out there to actually listen to you and take your ideas, then until you can accomplish that feat, it's not going to change. Okay, there's nothing you can do. There's no marketing ploy you're going to be able to pull. It's like this. You can only sell shit as fertilizer. Okay? There is no market. You are not going to convince people that bathing in shit is going to make them cleaner. You cannot convince people that eating shit is going to make them healthier. It is shit. And as long as your product is shit, you can only sell it as fertilizer. It only goes in one direction. And right now, Marvel is propaganda-filled shit. And it can only be sold as propaganda. It's never going to change. You have to let the industry burn right now. Like I said, unless you can convince these people that they can do something else and get there. But right now, they hate the customer more than they are going hungry. They're not hungry enough to stop hating the customer. And honestly, to them, they're almost like a religious zealot. Most of these comic bros. They're not going to listen to reason. They're not going to you cannot sit there and tell them, oh, hey, let's, can you try this? No, because comic book fans have been trying to do this for years and they hate them. You take Heather Antos. People ask, what are the worst fans? And she said, America. Your entire demographic of where your comics are being sold at, and you call them the worst fans in the world, of all the world. That tells you where the problem is in comics. Anyway, folks, I am the Last Raider. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notification. And stay frosty, keep your head on a swivel, and I'll see you guys next time.